are going to explore in this magazine exactly what it means to be Betty and to be a Betty, what exactly it means to be Veronica, a Veronica. And how do you do it best? We're going to take them out of Riverdale. Riverdale is going to go into shock. The status quo is going to be very, very shaken because Betty and Veronica are going away as foreign exchange students. They are going to be interacting in new places with new people, with new boyfriends, with new girlfriends. The whole world is going to get shaken up as Betty and Veronica learn really what they stand for, what life is all about from their own respective perspectives. And it's going to be very interesting. Meanwhile, Riverdale is going to be left in the lurch. All of the energy sucked right out of Riverdale because Betty and Veronica are gone. But remember I said it's a foreign exchange program. There are two young ladies coming to Riverdale from abroad. And boy, is everything going to get shaken to the core. I think you're going to like this soap opera. You're going to like the sensibilities, you're going to like the themes, and you're going to like the action, and it's just going to be very, very different. So I'm very, very excited about that project. Last thing I want to mention, Pure Heart the Powerful. Pure Heart and Pure Heart's Emergency Patrol will be returning in 2011 in a brand new way, in a brand new style. Those of you who have enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man over the years, get set. This is kind of Archie meets an Ultimate Spider-Man approach to superheroics. It's going to be giving Archie a bit of their own Teen Titans or X-Men, and there's going to be a whole brand new rogues gallery of villains that you'll be meeting, new costumes, new characters, and I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. And to kick it off, it's going to be a 5-parter, bringing back the 5 core superhero titles starting in 1939 from MLJ Comics, which is Pep Comics, Zip Comics, Jackpot Comics, Blue Ribbon Comics, and Top Notch Comics. And as a fan of comic book history and the Golden Age as well as the Silver Age, I'm just so excited to be a part of that. So welcome aboard for what I think is going to be just a terrific fun ride in 2011.
I hope you all can go with the questionnaire and pass it on later. And now, Nancy.
It's certainly my great good fortune to be sitting in front of you today at the 2010 New York Comic-Con and share with you what is going on in the Archie world. As Alex mentioned, I'm Nancy Silverclide, co-CEO of ACP. I'd like to share a little bit about myself with you and announce exciting new projects that I feel passionately about. First, my father-in-law, Louis Silverclide, is one of the founders of ACP. My late husband, his son, Michael, was chairman of the board during the entire 25 years we were married. When Michael passed away, 7 months later, I took on the role as co-CEO. That certainly raised a few eyebrows, even my own. I had no formal business experience nor formal business education. But what I do have is a passion for the continuation of the Goldwater Silverclide family business and a determination to make sure the iconic brand so many generations have come to love not only continues but thrives. My belief in the quality storytelling, the ACP brand, and its potential continue to deepen every day. As a parent and a longtime school teacher, my concern for the education of our children is of paramount importance. I came to see comic books not only as a source of entertainment, but more importantly as an effective tool that promotes learning and the love of reading. It furthers the development of problem-solving skills. The recent launch of the new division of ACP, Comic Book Fairs, is the result of my vision to help increase literacy and foster a love of reading and creative thinking in children. Educators will debate, what shall we teach? I say, how do we gain a child's interest in learning? I am convinced that comic books ignite a child's interest in becoming a lifelong reader. The Comic Book Fairs project involves sending comic books to schools and organizations nationally and internationally as a fundraiser to help generate funds needed to help sustain important programming. I invite you to stop by the park. And when I say important program, Alex has a wonderful program where he has visited locally in Miami promoting the skills of drawing, which is a wonderful language to communicate with. Archie Comics continues to be a good corporate citizen and has partnered with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. On April 21st, Archie Comics will feature a story to support MAD's new program, Power 21. Jackson Brown's Plastic Coalition organization's message will be highlighted in a comic story dedicated for Earth Day. And they have me now drinking out of glass bottles, and maybe I can drink out of one container instead of always purchasing those plastics. We are no longer just about dating. Important social issues are woven into the storylines. Our new character, Kevin Keller, a gay teenager, now part of the Archie family, a positive key to combat bullyism is to present concrete facts that reflect reality. Archie Comics is becoming relevant to young people and sending out the message that no matter what race, religion, or sexual preference, you belong. So I thank you, and thank you for your interest. And now I'd like to personally introduce David Rojas, sitting on my side, working on inspirational educational programming that will accompany comic book fairs. Thank you.
Just very quick, I'm sorry, just very quickly, you kept saying ACP. Could you just say once more what ACP is?
Archie Comics Publication.
There you go. Okay, just want to make that today. Sorry.
No problem. You guys doing okay? You guys good? Yeah. All right. My name is David Rojas, and just a little story. My mother came to this country from Nicaragua with her 2 kids in 1979. She didn't know any English, escaping the revolution there. And for the first 2 years of my life, all our rooms were littered with Archie comics.
How many of you can say that? Okay, all right, hands up, okay, good. Keep going, David.
But I didn't buy them because I was 2. And I didn't read them either because I was 2. But I remember distinctively always hearing Archie being spoken, but with a strange Nicaraguan accent. And then I was realizing that my mother in this country was trying to learn English. And she was learning English through Archie Comics. To this day, she's still a huge fan of Archie Comics. And I remembered that part of my childhood when I became an educator. I've been a high school teacher for the past 7 years and a college teacher for 1. And a lot of my students, as an English teacher, were ESL kids who speak English as a second language or were low-level learners. And I realized that comic books were a great way to really have these students get excited about learning. Not just reading, but learning overall. And Archie was so impactful because Archie talks about every story. Archie is the every story. You know, with Archie and Jughead as the prototypes, we could go back to Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. We could go back to Mercutio and Romeo, Sherlock Holmes and Watson. It's all there. And so when the students learned about Archie, when the students learned about other comic book heroes, they realized that there were some sophisticated concepts here and they got excited about learning. And so right now what I'm doing is creating lesson plans using Archie Comics and Archie characters to get students and teachers excited about bringing in these wonderful stories and these wonderful news stories that are being created into the classroom. Archie Comics is really the fabric of Americana, and if you look at a comic book, it'd be pretty easy to measure and to study American history in the 20th century by following Archie Comics throughout the decades. So to end, to make the story come full circle, I told you this is my first year as a college professor. I teach American comic books and culture. My mother asked me if she could audit the course. I said yes, and when we did our Archie lesson, she obviously got A's on every test quiz, and she turned in her homework, but I only gave her a B because she always argued with the professor and tried to tell him to do his job. But that is the story, and that is the story of a real reader in Archie Comics. So no longer are Archie Comics going to just be the hobbies on the weekends and after-school specials, but but we're bringing them into the classrooms. Why? Because they deserve it. So thank you.
Here. I just want to point out that we've had a lot of information given to you in the past half hour, and we're going to speed it up a little bit because we want to make sure we have time to get a lot of questions and so forth from you. So, having said that, go ahead.
I'm really excited about this education stuff. Yes, exactly. Steve, our Irish Director of Business Development there in the back, wants to talk to you. Because one thing that's been very interesting about Archie and the business of Archie, ever since we became involved, is Archie has been one of the very first to come to the digital arena, and has been the very first one to really put all guns blazing into the digital space and to see what happened. And what happened is that we're exposing thousands of people every day to Archie comics. And that's the absolute truth. Every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there are between 3,000 and 5,000 new people that get exposed to Archie comics and start reading these books on iPhones, iPod Touches, and now iPads. In 2011, we're going to be expanding that into some other platforms. And also, I need to mention the PSP. I don't talk about the PSP enough. And it is a very, very powerful platform that is doing really well. And 2011 is going to be a very exciting year for all that kind of stuff. More recently than that, we've finally been able to get everything together for the Sonic application and get that into Apple. So any time now, I guess probably a few weeks, you'll have Sonic comics available. And I think we can say that we're going to be doing Mega Man as well digitally. And also Life with Archie and the Kevin Keller issue of Veronica are available now both as standalone applications and also inside the Archie Comics app. So we have a ton of things that are coming and happening, and we're really excited about where things are going with Archie and how Archie has continued to be a dominant force and something that has continued to innovate on the iOS platforms and really bring new users and new readers into digital comics. There's a lot of other people that need to speak, so I'm going to keep this brief, but a good example of that for me is I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she started reading Archie comics on her iPod Touch. That was a hand-me-down from a dev unit we had in the office. The Twilight parody came out here recently, and we had issue 146 and 147, I think? Issue 146 was in the office, and she picked it up, and this is the first comic book she's ever read in her life in paper. And issue 146 compelled her so much, she had to know what happened in issue 147. And we literally, it was a Saturday afternoon, I was doing some work, and she had to know. And I didn't have issue 147 yet from Archie, so I called my local comic shop, and we went to the local comic shop, and she purchased her very first comic with her own allowance. I actually have a photograph of it on my phone. I'll show you later. Because I took a picture of her in front of the Archie books that were available, all the magazines and things, and it was really a great moment for me. And I'm very thankful that these books are here, because this is where the next generation of comic book reader is coming from. It's here with these people. And one thing that I also think needs to